Happy April, Connect family. Thanks for pulling up with us on your Saturday.
Coming on the show, and we'll be spotlighting incredible women and amazing women. So, what do we have for today, Natalie?
Yeah, it's going to be a really good show. I'm excited. We're getting into several things. First off, if you're at home, you're watching, and if you have ever considered launching your own podcast, the time is now. And I'm excited for our guest today. They're the founders of Courageous Wellness Podcast, showing us how they are using nutrition.
Very nice. We are also, Natalie, talking real estate for first-time home buyers, and we have some great tips with Susie Reed. So you don't want to miss that.
But first, today we are getting into the money, and specifically today we are sharing statistics around the economic power of Latinos and money. And this is going to be good. It's this next guest from NASDAQ to CNBC Insider Business. She has really been covering Latinas and money on a national scale for years. And today, yes, she's right here with us on the Connect Network TV on the CW Austin. Hey, Leanne, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for welcoming me to the show. It's so good to be here.
Let's start with, I think so many minorities overlook their economic power. Can you share with us the stats of Latinos and money?
Absolutely. And I think the big thing to drive home here is the Latinos are a minority no more. As of 2020, we had the Pew Research Center showing us that we actually make 20% of the population and made the second biggest racial group to grow right after our white counterparts. So we are actually becoming the majority in some states and definitely on our way to making a huge representation. Something else to note is that you take our GDP, how much money we make all together, all Latinos in the United States, we make the 5th largest GDP in the world. That's when you compare it to all other countries around the world, which is an incredible feat, $2.8 trillion that we bring to the US economy.
Wow. And that's big news. And I think, it's so important to track this information so you can really recognize that power. And you're really showing us that. You also believe that one of the best ways you say to really grab a hold of that power is by integrating representation into existing boardrooms, business news. Tell us more about what you mean by that and why that's so important to you.
Absolutely. I mean, we hear this all the time, right? And we certainly heard this during Women's History Month. You can't be what you can't see. And so I think that this is certainly true when it comes to representation. Not only is it inspiring and empowering when you see people who come of similar backgrounds on national media, I think that there's something to be said that besides our ethnic backgrounds, we actually make great contributions to the American economy when our boardrooms, when our leadership is more diverse. It comes to show that the more diverse you are, not just Latinos, but just diversity of thought, of background, gender representation, the more blind spots that you're really catching in these boardrooms in some of the most powerful companies of the world. So absolutely, it is essential to have representation in news so other people can see it, but so other people can learn how to move from you, and so that we can share those resources, share those tools in order to fundraise, scale our companies, and succeed.
That is phenomenal, Leanne. And on your podcast, Moneda Moves, I love that you use moneda. That's a great word. You highlight.
Hang on a second. For those that don't know what moneda means,
I've got you. Moneda is like a coin. It's a coin in Spanish. So when people say like, do you have tengo moneda o una monedita? It's like we speak in littles. We say we have a few coins. We have a few coins in our pocket to go get that popsicle down the block, to go get the groceries. So it's very commonplace. Just what I used growing up to talk about money.
Love it.
I love it very much.
Before you go, last question about the podcast. I know you say media matters. How can people that are like, okay, I still don't have my narrative, because that's another thing about going into this space of either looking for employment, or even as an entrepreneur, because I know you think like a CEO. How do you get your story across for those that are looking to stand in their story and use that space and power in their business?
Absolutely. So I think you want to start with your why. This is true, and it sounds so simple, but this is true of even the most powerful companies. We'd have companies that were multi-million-dollar valuation companies. And really what they wanted to drive home on the day that they went public was, what is my story? What is my mission, vision, and what are my values? And they all are in an ecosystem that speak to each other. So you want to be able in your mission to address exactly what you want to do, what change you want to affect, who you want to do it for, your vision, AKA in a few years, what kind of impact is your company going to make? Who are going to be your partners? This is the kind of research that you do when you're doing market research, right? Like who's your audience? Who are you going to impact? What scale? And your values, because that will determine your growth trajectory.
Wow, great tips. Thank you so much for really all of this today.
Thank you.
Yes,
It's been a great
so much
combo.
great information, Leanne. And before we go, how can people connect with you? How can they get in contact with you, follow you, and work with you?
Absolutely. So I do offer consultation services. I've worked with C-level execs that are looking to go fundraise, looking to communicate their stories via their pitch decks as they go fundraise. You can find me at Moneda Moves, same social handle across social networks, Instagram, Twitter, and I'm also at Leanne Alfaro, quite active on LinkedIn as well if you want to reach me there.
Yes, LinkedIn, the place to not forget about, right? LinkedIn. I have so many more questions for you. This was fantastic, the information. Before you go real quick, what is your best money tip for Latinos and all minorities right now? Maybe it's the same for all people. Who knows?
Yeah. You know, like I think personal finance is so personal. So when I get this question, it's really about identifying your goal right now. But if I could do a catch-all, it's probably knowing where your money sits exactly. Where's the money going in? Where's the money going out?
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Texas. Well, coming up next, a lot of great things in store. We are talking gut health, and spring has sprung. We're excited for this. It's time to get rid of the bloat after the break. But first, Alexandra Randolph is here with a new segment, Latina Business of the Week.
Hello West Texas y amigos y amigas del Permian Basin. Estoy muy emocionada de traerles esta tarde mi Latina Business of the Week. Esta tarde más que negocios, quiero hablarles acerca de lo que está pasando aquí en el área del Permian Basin. Este sábado, el restaurante Dos Amigos abre sus puertas por primera vez a un nuevo venue de eventos. Este evento presentado por esta marca de restaurantes será acerca de un concurso de belleza que ya lleva 3 años presentándose en el área, pero este año alcanzó los 100 sponsors. We're so excited about that because it shows the love and the support of the Latina community here in the area. So more than a beauty contest, this is also about supporting the Latino community, the Latino businesses, and the entrepreneur women around the area. And if you're a Latina and you own a business and it's ready to be featured here on the Connect Network TV, email us at info@theconnectonline.com today. See you next week.
At Emily Miller Aesthetic Medicine, we take 10 years off your face without looking like you've had work done. How we do this is, as experts in the world's #1 medical grade skincare line, we craft a program unique to you that's going to transform your skin. For a virtual skincare consultation and our online store, visit emily-rn.com and use the code CONNECT for 10% off your purchase.
To the Connect Network TV. So our next guest, I'm excited for this segment. We're talking bloating. I that's one of the things I hate most. When I'm bloated, Wendy, it's It's
So
not cute.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody
okay.
likes it
Thank you. Do you ever bloat? I don't think I've ever seen you bloated.
all the time.
You
then,
look
I,
so
then,
amazing.
I have to, then I have to change like 50 times because it's so uncomfortable, right?
Oh my goodness. I love you. That's so funny and so true. Well, our next guests, Allie and Erica, they're both certified integrative nutrition health coaches with advanced coursework in hormone and gut health. And they're also the founders of the Courageous Wellness Collective and Courageous Wellness Podcast.
Please help us welcome Allie and Erica to the show.
Hey, ladies. Welcome. We talked about bloating and eating. Yeah. And when we do overeat, I think a lot of people feel like, well, tomorrow I'll make a better decision. Mm-hmm. But when you really look at gut health, the reality is the bigger your gut is, the more bacteria you're holding in your body every day. And that's when the health concerns can really begin. So what does the gut reveal? What can the gut tell us?
Yes. What can the gut reveal? Well, gut health is my favorite thing to discuss in wellness because I think we all understand it on some level, right? We hear about gut feelings or butterflies in our stomach, or even when it comes to our health, right? We understand bloating or an upset tummy, right? Like everything begins and ends in the gut. It's my favorite part of wellness. And, just some really fun facts about our gut health is that inside of our gut lives trillions of microbes that influence many different functions in our body. So in addition to absorbing nutrients from food during the digestion process, 90% of our serotonin, which is the happy hormone, lives inside of our gut. 70% of our immune system is inside of our gut. And even the foods we crave can be determined by the health of these microbes, right? And so it's really fascinating. And people do spend a lot of money on their health, but it really is, I think there's a lot of free resources that beyond food that can really help support our gut health.
So let's take a little detour and let's talk holistic nutrition, because that's another big part of your teaching. Can you give us a little bit more insight on this term, holistic nutrition?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And it is intricately linked to gut health too. Our body is not, we have a system that compartmentalizes the body, right? Like if you need to go to a neurologist for the brain or a cardiologist for the heart, we have a system that we have all these different specialties. But in fact, our body is one thing working together, systems working together. And similarly, the way we look at nutrition is that it's not just the food on the plate. It's actually influenced by the way we nourish ourselves in all aspects of our life. And sometimes it translates to the food on the plate. So when we talk about holistic nutrition, it's not just looking at what's directly on the plate, but looking at all different aspects of our life and our lifestyle. So that can be things like what kind of movement we're getting, what kind of space we're in our career, are we having certain types of stress in our life, what is our spiritual connection to ourself, what are our finances like, what are our relationships like is a big one. And so all these aspects that we look at in our life inform our health and our nutrition in a holistic way. So that's really
clever. And holistic, although it's spelled HOL, but it's a holistic approach. Okay. So in case you forget, you guys can put that in the podcast later if you want. The Courageous Wellness Podcast. So this is good. And a lot of medical terms, I think that's what can intimidate people. We hear holistic nutrition, we hear metabolic health, like what's metabolic health? So I think that's another big one. I know. What do we need to know about that as well?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially because I feel like metabolic health right now is kind of the new trendy, buzzy thing in the wellness space. Yeah. And there's some real value in what it's rooted in. And metabolic health in general, the way a medical professional would define it, is looking at the health through a few different factors, and everything from blood sugar to HDL cholesterol, triglycerides, just to name a few. We obviously are not doctors. So that's something that a doctor would look at to determine metabolic health. But the way we really work with it is, how does our energy work for us? And food can be an incredibly powerful tool in this journey of trying to maintain or create metabolic health, which long term is really, really important. And the way that Erica and I work with it specifically is really through blood sugar balance. It's very, very powerful on the day-to-day. It keeps us satiated. It keeps our energy levels up, avoiding the spikes and those crashes of low blood sugar and high blood sugar. And so throughout the day, it can really, really have an impact on our energy levels. But long term, it can really help prevent chronic illness like
diabetes. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Who would have ever thought to monitor your blood sugar pre any issues, and then you really are in control of your life? So how about that?
Yeah. It's really powerful. It's a really powerful tool.
You also have free resources there too. Lots of resources and tips that are keeping people excited. So tell us what to expect on there. More of this, I know. And how do we check you out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we love to offer free resources because we believe wellness should be accessible to everyone. And so the podcast, we release episodes every single Wednesday on a wide variety of topics with doctors, experts, and industry professionals on mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness topics. We also do one-on-one health coaching. So we offer free 30-minute consultations, and you can find that on our website, courageouswellness.net. We also have an event called Nutrition as a Tool, which we do for group coaching and corporate events. And you can find us on Instagram at Courageous Wellness. And we just wrote a children's book too. So hopefully that'll be coming to you soon to really start, health and wellness from the earliest age.
Amen.
You ladies are incredible. I love everything you're doing. And wow, a children's book. That's going to be so wonderful. Yes. Yeah. I'd love to hear more on that. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, if you are finally ready to buy your first home, we've got the programs and the credit education you need after the break with Susie Reed.
That's right. Plus, Amanda Waters is in our social circle. If you've been planning to turn up the heat, Allie and Erica, I know the heat's already on over there at the Courageous Wellness Podcast. But if you at home are ready to turn up the heat on your Instagram and TikTok, Amanda is showing you how to make a reel that engages after the break.
Happy Saturday, Connect family. I'm Amanda Waters at Amanda Waters with 2 T's on Insta. And today in the social circle, I'm teaching you all about how to make a reel that will keep your audience engaged. Reels have been a big part of my branding and truly helped me build my business. So today, I've got 3 tips for anyone out there ready to make a reel that really engages. Number 1, you need to have your niche. Number 2, make sure to always have your camera. Some days we do not feel like filming. Some days we are hyped up on caffeine and we are ready. Also, carousels are really popular right now too. So taking lots of photos throughout the day. People want to know what you're doing, and make sure to always have your light on at your house. And then also you can find some pretty cool free apps. It's super easy. I am here to help you. You can also follow me for more social media tips on my Instagram. That's Amanda Waters with 2 T's. And if that's it, I will see you next week with some more social media tips.
welcome back, Texas. So we are leveling up your health and your money on your Saturday, but we are also bringing great tips today for first-time home buyers, mortgage loan originators. Susie Reed, who I hear has broken all of the records like year after year after year. Like at least break one record, people. One record. This lady's broken a record 15 times, 15 years. Okay, so we're going to learn how to do that. But yeah, she's here to tell us about available programs. You do not want to miss out on these. They can really give you a big advantage in the real estate world.
Welcome to the show, Susie.
Hey, Susie.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here with us today. And you are with Rodney Anderson team at the NFM Lending. And if anybody can talk about mortgages and knows mortgages, it's you.
I like to think so. Really, my primary goal with y'all today and with our viewers is to take the fear out of the process. I think a lot of people are really afraid of the home buying process. I hold my clients' hands start to finish. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. And the one thing I would recommend always, the biggest mistake people make is choosing their mortgage lender by going on the internet and finding who's the cheapest. Just like anything else, that's not necessarily the right person that you want handling the biggest financial decision of your life. So, choosing your lender, you want to listen to your real estate agent, talk to people, get referrals, look at reviews, find somebody that you can really trust that's local, that'll spend the time and educate you, knowledgeable, accessible. I answer my phone all the time unless I'm asleep. So, my clients know how to reach me. But that's my biggest number one tip is to make sure you choose your lender based on the right criteria and don't get sucked into things you see on the internet, because that is not the place to go looking.
There you go. That part. All right. So tell us some first time tips for home buyers that need to know about the home buying process. And that's a great tip right there. Don't find your lender online. What are some other things people need to know as they're considering buying a home?
The very first thing, credit is key. There are programs that are available that you don't have to have absolutely perfect credit. I think that's one of people's biggest fears is, oh, I had some problems in the past, or I've got student loans, so I can't buy a house. Set all those myths aside. The very first thing we want to do is look at a credit profile. You have to have credit to get credit. And, a lot of lenders will just say, hey, you don't meet the criteria and push you aside. I actually have an entire department in my company at NFM Lending called The Road to Home. So if the credit needs a little bit of work, I can guide along, but I also do have a team that specializes in that. So number one, credit. Number two, making sure when you call me, we go through the credit piece. Also income, what you can qualify for and what you can afford might be two completely different things. Yeah. So that's the other fear. I don't think I can afford what I want. You don't know unless you ask. So that's a point where we really want to get together, discuss your needs, discuss what you want, and then we can kind of determine from there what's possible. And if it's not the right time, then we hold hands until it is.
So Susie, how do we even the playing field? How can people become more prepared so that these housing loans are improved?
I think, again, everything goes back to credit for a lot of people when it comes to preparation anyway. That's the first thing, when I think I want to buy a house, the first thing I need to do is take a look and see how do I look credit wise, because that's the first thing that they're going to look at. So really the best way to prepare is to take care of your credit. Don't miss payments to anyone. Make sure and try to keep your credit card balances down, because when credit cards are close to their limit, it really tanks credit scores. So a lot of people don't know that. You need to have them to generate the scores, but just make sure that you try to keep those balances down, because that is something that can affect. I contributed to authoring a book quite a while ago. It was about 15 years ago. It's called Credit 911. Secrets and Strategies to Saving Your Financial Life. That book is available on Amazon. It's a super easy read, and it really talks about how to navigate the credit system and how to make it work for you and what to do to get yourself in the right position. I think everybody graduating from high school should get that book, just as an aside. But the best way to prepare is to start working on that piece of it. Once you have your hands around that, it's really a relatively easy process from there. But that's a really great resource for people who just want to kind of see how it works.
Yeah, Credit 911. Get the book. So good. All right. And let's talk about the available programs we mentioned at the top of this segment for first-time home buyers. What do they need to know? How do they get involved?
First-time homebuyers do have a lot of benefits. The primary thing is, down payment assistance. A lot of times when you're a first-time homebuyer, you're maybe living paycheck to paycheck. You may not have a whole lot of money in the bank to put 20% down. And it's a myth that you have to have 20% on a primary residence, because you don't. But the first-time homebuyer programs, I've got one that we actually lend the second lien, which is the down payment. So in other words, you've got your mortgage, and then you've got this loan for your down payment. This loan goes away after 3 years. As long as you live in the house for 3 years, there's no payments, there's no interest. It sits there, and then after 3 years, it is forgiven. So that's a really great program for someone who doesn't have a whole lot of money to get into a home. There's also 3% down programs for somebody who has a small amount. That can give you a little bit better terms as far as interest rates and payments and things of that nature. So there's a couple of really great options for first-time homebuyers, just to help them get their foot in the door without having to have a big amount out of pocket.
Wow. Now, I didn't know about the down payment forgiveness / additional loan. That's amazing.
Go to Susie. Like, she's not only beautiful, she's sweet. She makes you feel super comfortable. And who doesn't want that? So guests, viewers, everyone, you know who to go to. Susie. She's the one to go to. Yeah. So we're so grateful for your time today, Susie. How can we go to Susie? How can we connect with you and work with your lending team?
Well, my phone number is a direct. It's 972-985-2464. My website's very easy. That's a great place to start as well. It is Suzie-Reed.com. That's SUZIE-REED.com.
That's right. And of course, if you need a real estate agent, you already know our girl, Wendy. She's got you covered. And my goodness, you talk about the dream team together.
Great team.
You've got it all. What a match. I'm so happy to have you, Susie, to meet you, Susie. Big hugs. I know I'll see you sometime in Austin one of these days. So
that sounds great. Thank y'all so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you so much. Well, we want to send a big thank you to all of our guests today. We had an amazing lineup. Leanne Alfaro, Susie Reed, Allie French, Erica Stein, and of course our girls, Amanda and Alexandra, bringing so much fun today with their segment. So if you are ready at home, you're like, you know what? I'm ready to share my brand, share my business. I'm ready for TV. You can join us. Find out how at theconnectonline.com or on Instagram. Keep up with us at the Connect Network.
Yes, Natalie. And also don't forget to follow all of our guests and our show hosts as well. And we will see you next week.